Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about pretty much what the title should say, and that is good men and the effects of the patriarchy and how it still doesn't necessarily benefit at least all women, which kind of sucks. So, I'm going to try to make this quick. Basically, here's the thing. Despite what may come off on my channel, I think that good men exist. But I also think that there's no denying that the patriarchy also exists, right? And because of this, there are certain things that are established in the patriarchy. There are certain things that equate to status, success, etc. And while you're always going to have people that go against the grain and don't necessarily subscribe to that, I would say that most people do. So, how does that factor into the whole thing with good men and women and everything like that? Okay. So, like I said, I think there are good men. I still don't think it's the majority of men, but they still exist. But because they're not the majority, what ends up happening is you still have a bunch of women who want a man, right? They want a partner, they want a good man. But if a lot of women want a good man, but there aren't enough men to go around to those women, well, I think just from that, you can already see that there's a problem, right? There's not enough good men to go around. So then I think a few things start to happen. For one thing, you'll have the good man who gets shared. Now, whether or not you consider that man to still be good, if he is entertaining multiple women, is up to your discretion. Personally, I don't really care for the idea. But if you do, the thing is, if a woman wants a man to herself, well, this good man, she's not getting him to herself. She has to share him with multiple other women because, again, there weren't enough to go around for her to go and get a different one. So then you have sharing, which could be consensual or may not be consensual. Again, that also factors into whether or not this man is actually good and your discretion of it. But still, the point is there's a certain amount of scarcity here. Another issue is, again, related to scarcity again. If this man does decide that he is going to just be with one woman, well, I mean, there's one less man for all of the other women, right? So, again, we have this situation where we don't really have that many good men. Now, with that being said, these good men, and again, this isn't necessarily true. Like I said, not everyone subscribes to every idea that is set up in society, right? Sometimes people don't subscribe to any of them. Sometimes it's only some. It all varies. But I would say that if a good man has looked at society and has looked at what society deems to be um to make you successful, to that gives you status, if it has set up what is desirable, what is beautiful, then I think what happens too is you'll get a man who's a good man, but then he goes for a very particular type of woman. He goes for the woman who society has set up to be the best woman. And he feels more inclined to go for her because he feels like he deserves her because he is this good man that society has praised or whatever. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a high value man here. I know that that is a term that, goes around the internet a lot. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. And so one could even make the argument that maybe society doesn't uplift good men as it should, and instead specifically um, uplifts high value, quote unquote, men, which is a problem in itself. But still, um, and I mean, even this, right? Maybe you may argue in your discretion that if he is subscribing to patriarchal societal standards and beliefs, that maybe that contributes to him not being actually a good man. But regardless, I think the thing is, if he does, and if you are considering him a good man, then he may very well go for a certain type of woman that society has boasted. And so, again, if you don't fit into that, then you have an even less chance as a woman of getting this good man, because society has set it up where when this good man exists, his chances of choosing you go down because you're not what society props up as the best. And if he has made a lot of strides to try to become this exception, and if the world has not deemed you as exceptional as a woman for whatever reason, then he's less inclined to go your way. So then it sets up where really just a certain group of women can get really any guy, the best of guys. And then there are a group of women who really just don't have access to those men. And it's unfortunate. It sucks. Again, that is not always the case. You're always going to have exceptions to the rule. But I do think overall that tends to be what happens. And even if we switch it, right, and we say that this man isn't necessarily a good man, he's just a desirable man. Like this woman finds him desirable for whatever reason. Well, if most women are finding him desirable, and if in general most men or most women don't find most men desirable, which is that contributes to this whole loneliness epidemic, specifically in men that we're seeing these days. If that's the case, then again, these desirable men, I always talk about incentives, right? Especially men having incentives to do better. Well, if women are willing to get with these men, share these men, do whatever for these men, then they have a lot of options. They're less likely, I think, to do the things that they even know that they should do. But it's like, even though they should do it, they're not inclined to do it because, well, why? So, again, I just think that unfortunately, with the way that things are set up, it's just not in a lot of women's favor. It's not. It's in some women's favor. Sure. It's some women, it's in their favor. But I think for a lot of women it's not, which is why a lot of women end up complaining about men, because women end up getting with men who, they're not good men. And then women cancel men as a whole because, if they're constantly dealing with not great men, and if those, if the good men are going for specific types of women and not them, then yeah, they're never going to luck out because the creme de la crop is not choosing them. So if they're always going to get trash, then eventually, they're going to complain, they're going to, X out of the market, whatever, and then those good men are going to go for specific women, and it just messes everything up. And again, I do think that it has a lot to do with the conditioning that takes place in society as far as what you should choose, who you should choose. So I see that as an issue. And maybe I've kind of I feel like I have talked about this in different ways throughout multiple videos, but I really wanted to pull it together for this one cuz I just find it really unfortunate. So, I don't know. I guess overall, that's all I want to say for this one. I won't be surprised if I do another video in the future that's similar to this one, but maybe a little different, maybe more updated. I don't know. But in any case, if you listened to this and enjoyed it, thank you. I hope you got something out of it. Feel free to contribute in the comment section if you want. Likes are cool. They make me, kind of happy someone enjoyed it if you want to drop one. But either way, thanks for listening. Hope you have a good one.